Hello, I'm Charlie Mosier from the PFAFF Creative Sewing Center, Lacey, Washington, and Sound Sewing, Silverdale, Washington. Today's demo is going to be on the Quilt Ambition 630. This is the machine that is on the top of the top machine in the 3 machine series. So it first started with the 610, 620, and now the 630. Very sleek looking machine. I do love, let me hold my camera with one hand, I do love the darkness of the top here. It gives it just this really nice appeal. It also has a very nice bright touchscreen, so the panel got all cleaned up by removing most of the buttons directly off. And then as well, the lid opens up here to give us the view to our stitches, which there are a total of 201 7mm sewing stitches, as well as 2 alphabet fonts. One is the Western font, which again would be like English, and then you also have, I really think that's Russian. I'm going to have to look that up. The thread lays inside the machine horizontally. If you do have a spool that's too big, you can bring it up and put it up vertically. Just make sure that you lift the cap and make sure the thread's not caught on the cap up so it doesn't bounce off, and also it's not holding the spool in place. Let's go over the parts that come with it. So here are the spare parts. So just getting in here real quick, we do have a needle inserter, you do have a cleaning brush, the quilter's toolbar to do gridded quilting, or you also use as a seam guide, a seam ripper, a vertical spool pin for using twin needles. Then I have a 2 felts, as well as a small spool cap. There is a large one which is on the machine right now. A thread felt, I'm sorry, not a thread felt, a thread net. So if you're using a springy thread, like a metallic thread that likes to spin off and get wrapped around the post, you wrap this around it and it will make it behave. It does come with bobbins, as well as a little screwdriver for lifting the plate and putting in the needle. And then down here we have the buttonhole foot, the standard sewing foot, the 1A decorative with IDT sewing foot, your 2A in satin stitch decorative sewing foot, a zipper foot, your blind hem and also over casting foot, and then 2 feet that the prior other in the line Ambitions do not come with is the free motion foot and the 1/4 inch foot. Remember, this one was called the Quilt Ambition 630. So being deemed the quilt machine of this series, they have thrown in these 2 additional feet for you. And then of course a spare package of needles. Let's get to know the machine a little better. So this machine, just like the other machines, have a needle threader. So I'm going to lower my foot. Once I get my thread to this point, I can do that. My threader is right here. I'm going to bring it down and towards me. And I'm going to go into the hook and then right into the needle. And then when I pull this away, I let go and it makes a loop in the back. So I have threaded my needle, which is really cool. I'm at the time in my life where I have to have that now. So you do have a built-in needle threader. With this style of needle threader, I have discovered that if it doesn't come in to the needle, your needle's not inserted all the way or in the highest position. So this needle threader does work very well as long as you have the needle inserted fully. And if you don't touch your hand wheel, just let the machine stop, it will put the needle in the correct position. So some things that we have on here, just like we had on the other Ambitions, is we do have a reverse key as well as a start stop, so you can run the machine without a foot control. Come up a little bit more and we do have needle down by command, where I could press it and it'll always stop with the needle down, or I could press it again to make the needle come up. Immediate tie off, as well as scissor cut, so it'll cut my top and bottom thread for me. Alright, let's get you uncaught from my chair and let's bring it over to the screen. So the screen is a touch interactive screen. So what that means to you is I have to tell you where things are. So I do apologize because I know this part here is glaring. This is for going through my stitches. So I have an up arrow over here so I can scroll through my different stitches, or a down arrow, or I could touch just the stitch menu right there, and it'll come in and let me get to my stitches. So my stitches, because I have 201 stitches, are broken down by categories. So if I know that I want a satin heart, stitch 170, I think it's 177 is the one I like on here. Yep, 177. I go to my menu where it says 143 to 201, so it gets me to that grouping, and just come down till I see 177. which is right there, and then it'll bring it directly up for me. Then I can change my width of my design, and then this one here allows me to actually change the density of it so I can make it more satiny. I can mirror this either vertically, which is mirroring over itself, so this is symmetrical that way, so you're not really seeing much of a difference, or I can do it horizontally. So, and I might have the terms mixed up for these because I seem to be opposite of what the company calls them, but that's how I think of them. So the next thing here is it tells me right where my tension is at, and it does pick that tension for me. The next thing is it's telling my feed dog should be up, and I should use a stabilizer, and my foot should be 2A. Okay, so I also have where I can program this into memories and stuff by using my memory keys. If I want to go back to straight stitch, it's really simple. I just go back in my menu, press 1 through 45, and just pick the straight stitch. If you forget, turning off and on the machine will always get it on straight stitch, but it's really simple. I do like the touchscreen. It does not come with a stylus because the screen itself interacts with your hand touch very nicely. The next thing you'll notice that over here is this part of the machine is all cleaned up because we do not have any keys. We don't need them because of this interactive touchscreen. And the next thing we have, like we did before, is we have the speed control here. So when it's up all the way, you have full speed capability of the machine with your foot control, or when you use the start-stop key, it will only go full speed. And then the lowest is all the way down, and you can have it anywhere you want in between. I usually like it about there. That's just me. I have a lot of people that like it full bore, and got some people that like it really slow. All good. The next thing that I would like to point out to you is it does have the drop-in bobbin system. So I just pull this lever so the bobbin cover pops up so I can take this out. It does take a 15 class bobbin. Plastic it is preferred, and it would just drop down with the tail going off to the left, and I would come into this groove and bring it around and bring it around, and there's a blade right here, so when I cut it and I put it on, and when I start to sew, it'll automatically pull up. So this machine is also equipped with the IDT that PFAFF is known for, and it also has the capability of changing the pressure on the pressure foot. So let me show you that next. So turning the machine to the side to help you better see this is the pressure of my pressure foot. Right now it is set at N. I have coming up, I have 2 and 1, and going down I have 4 and 5. Now going up you are lightening the pressure, so the smaller the number, the lighter the pressure of the foot, and coming down the tighter the pressure of the foot. So basically that has to do with when I put my pressure foot up and down, how much poundage weight is on this foot as it's holding down my fabric. Some sheer fabrics don't like to be held too well, or it might even need a little bit more oomph because they're just not enough pressure to get the feed dogs to grab them. And some of your thicker fabrics like your polar fleeces might need a little less oomph to get them through. It's a little less pressure. I shouldn't be using the word oomph. I should be using the word pressure, so apologize for that. But if you're not sure, go one way. If it gets worse instead of better, go the other way. That's how I learned about the pressure to know, and sometimes fibers will surprise you on which way you should go. The next thing was the IDT. That has to do with this guy down here. See if I can bring it down a little bit more so you guys can see. So this IDT it's this piece here that can snap down at any time, and if I take off my foot, you will see how it's right under my foot and it's with my feed dogs. So if I turn my hand wheel here, it actually will move with my feed dogs. When they go forward and back, it will go forward and back because it is integrated into my feeding system. So IDT stands for Integrated Dual Transfer. Okay, gotta keep in mind it's kind of German, so that's how they put it. So IDT, Integrated Dual Transfer. And so that will allow, if you're going forward or backwards, your walking foot will feed in time with your feed dogs. So doing sheer fabrics, doing polar fleece, putting 2 different types of fabrics together, they will feed in unison. If you're doing quilting or garment sewing where you're trying to line up plaids and you're trying to line up stripes, once you line them up and sew them, they will stay together because the upper feeding system is feeding them in precise feeding with the lower feed dogs. It really works nice. So let me show you one fiber that, 2 different fibers that really show this feature. So this fiber I'm going to show you is this really sheer lining fabric that you can get at the fabric store. It's just, you know, the more you look at it, it frays, it's it got a great straight grain, but it's got a horrible bias. So we're going to show you how to do this. So I'm going to take off the IDT so I can show you what will happen. Now the machine itself does have box feeds. That means the feed dogs on the bottom will feed in a box form, which is going to give you even better feeding process. It'll give you less skirting when you're feeding multiple layers or heavy layers through. However, some fabrics need that additional help of a walking foot. Now you can again add one to any machine, but the IDT is a walking foot in this machine, and therefore it doesn't need to be added because again, it's integrated into the feeding system. So I've taken it off, and I'm going to come in here and I am going to sew this on the bias just a little bit. So as I feed it here, you can see it's curling up in the back. Okay, so I'm going to do needle down by pressing my needle, and then as I turn here, you see how it's curling up? That's because the box feed is doing a good job, but it's still too tight. The weave of the feed is still shifting from the pressure of the pressure foot, and because only the lower feed dogs are feeding. So I'm going to go back to the bias. I'm going to engage that IDT by simply pushing it down, lower my foot. I'm still on that bias. And now, look what happens. It just falls right off the machine because it's now nice and relaxed. So the feeding is not pulling against itself. So I use my scissors to cut my thread. And now when I pull this out, you can see literally exactly where I engaged the IDT. Okay? So it was very tight up here, and down here it's nice and flat. The next fiber would be to use a polar fleece. Polar fleece has really, well, it does have one straight grain, but it's really, really stretchy, especially on the corner to corner, the bias. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a triple straight stitch. So this is a straight stitch that feeds over itself 3 times so that I want this to move with, I want my stitch to move with my fabric. If I use just a straight stitch, if this was a t-shirt, sweatshirt, on a neckline, and I go to pop my head through it, it would break all the stitches. So a stretch stitch is a triple straight stitch that sews over itself 3 times to give it movement. I still have my IDT down. Now this is a thicker fabric, so if I push up with my pressure foot, I have that real nice high lift to get this in there. And now I'm going to lower it. And again with my IDT on, now I'm going to get my foot control where I can reach it better. Okay, so now I'm going to just feed this down, and then I'll show you what it looks like at the end. So I'm getting to the end here. I just didn't want you to have to wait the whole time with me. I'll use my scissor cut again, and look how that stayed nice and flat. There's no ripple in the seam. If I come and lay it down on my machine, it is flat. Without the IDT, it would give this wobble because it would have stretched it. Now it will still stretch. See that? See, I can stretch it with my fabric, so this will not break this stitch. It's also a very good reinforcement stitch if you're doing garment sewing and you need to redo the inner seam of jeans or slacks. This is a great stitch for that. So that's the IDT. So any foot that actually has the cutout right here for the IDT, the actual cutout for it, you can use it with. So we can use it with our utility foot that's on it. I can use it with my decorative pattern foot that allows the IDT. My zipper foot, it actually has 2 of them back here because I can snap the zipper foot on the right or the left, and that means I can use my IDT on either side, which is great. I made a dress once with out of crepe, and it was before I had my PFAFF, and it did beautifully on one side, but when I turned the corner and went up the zipper the other side, it pinched all the way up. And so when I brought home my PFAFF, one of the things I did was reopen that zipper and redid it. It never pinched with using the IDT with this. I was so happy. And then for you quilters out there, the 1/4 inch foot that comes with it has a cutout so that you have even feeding with your layers. And then of course for the blind hem and the overcast foot, it also has a cutout for the IDT. And there's a lot of additional feet you can get, like an open toe foot, a multiple the 5/8 foot. So there's a lot of different feet you can get that have that IDT that are available to you as well. Now the next thing I want to show you is I'm going to disengage the IDT by simply pulling it down and away. And I'm going to go back to just my standard straight stitch, because there are some people out there that don't understand the PFAFF that say that the reason why we have it is for strength, and it has nothing to do with strength. It has to do with even feeding of fibers. So the machine is actually very strong, and I've been able to do anywhere between 8 to 10 layers, sometimes even 12 layers of denim. It has to do with what I can fit under here with this machine. As you go up in the line with PFAFF, the machines do get stronger, so I would say comfortably 6 to 8 with this one that this machine can do. So I have 2 layers of very, very stiff denim that I'm just going to put together here. And then I'm going to just sew a little bit. Most machines can do 2 layers. Now I'm going to do, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 count in the bottom. Okay, now I'm just going to hold my seam. I did not push it, and I just got that to glide through. You saw how it went up and over it with no hesitation. If I look at the back side, I know it's hard because I use white thread, but my stitches are nice and even. There was no hesitation in going over that. The next thing is if I want to sew down the seam, I'm going to lift the foot. So this is if you want to sew down the bottom of your jeans all the way around. See how it just goes through? Really easy. Goes through it like butter. And that's 6 layers right there. Nice and easy. The driver's a little crooked. You know, it's hard to sew straight with a camera in front of you, but that is showing you the strength. So you can do from your sheer fabrics to your thick fabric and everything in between. Okay. The next thing we are going to show you is, I forgot what I was going to show you next. Oh, well, the machine actually, this has a free arm to come off to give you space to do cuffs or pants and stuff. The back of the free arm has storage in the back, and you have storage in the front to put all your goodies. Let's show you how to do a buttonhole. So on my front panel here, I can see all my stitches, and they are numbered. So I can see my first buttonhole is right here, and that is number 32. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you guys down. And so what I would do is I'd come into here, trying to focus my screen. There we go. And I would touch this, my pattern, and I want to be in the first menu, which I am, and I go and find the number 32, and they're in numerical order, and there it is. I could change how satiny I want my column to be. My tension has changed to 3.6. When I last pointed out to you, it's on 3, because this machine is smart enough to know where it has to set each tensions. You do not have a tension dial anywhere on here for you to turn. However, you do in settings have the capability to go in and override it if you don't like how it's reading its tensions for you. But I do find it's really accurate. I don't, unless I'm throwing out really strange thread, like really thick, or really super thin like the silks, I normally, the tensions are right on for me. I think I've only gone in once to ever change tensions. Anyhow, so I'm going to use the buttonhole foot. It's again telling me that my feed dogs need to be up, and then I need a stabilizer, and then I need foot 5. Okay, so let's get reset so I can show you how to set it up. Okay, so here we are in front of the machine, and here's my foot 5. This is, and how I know it says 5 right here. And so this is the part right here where it's going to want to actually clip. It doesn't like it's clear. It does not like the focus on this, but there's a bar right here. And then up here, I'm going to push this hard white piece up. And then I'm going to find a button. So I'm going to use a button. So I have a jar of buttons. I'm going to just place that in, and I'm going to lock it into place. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off my foot by just pressing down on it. And I'm going to come on in here, keep my thread forward. As soon as I did that, I realized I pushed it back. There we go. Keep my thread forward, okay. Only when people are watching, right? And we come and I'm going to lower my ankle directly onto that piece. Now my IDT had to be off to do that, okay? Because there's no IDT feed on this. The next thing I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to do this on down because I have white thread. Next thing I'm going to do is, there behind my needle threader, there's this another metal piece right here. I'm going to pull it straight down. It has a buttonhole figure on it. I'm going to pull it straight down. I'm going to put my fabric in where I want the start of my button. So it's going to sew that way, okay? And then once I have that in, I don't even use my foot control. I actually use my go key right here, okay? It's going to straight stitch back, satin stitch forward. It's going to do straight stitch back, bar tack on the back, satin stitch forward. Denim was not a good one to do this on for you guys. I forgot, denim likes to swallow stitches. And since I don't have a stabilizer on there, it's swallowing my stitches. But it will still make it on there. So, see my My stitches are just, so what I mean by that is sometimes denim, because of the weave of the denim, will actually swallow your stitches, which this one has. I think I'm going to do it again for you guys, but I'm going to do it on this blue fabric here. Okay, so I'm going to do it on the blue fabric, and let's do this again. There we go. Not saying you can't do it on denim, you can. I would probably use what's called a GIMP thread, and to know more about that, we are also going to be putting how to use, more in depth of how to use your machine, like our owner classes. And I spent a lot of time on buttonholes on that in our owner classes. So we are working on getting all our videos uploaded to online. Right now we're concentrating on the demos, but in there I'll show you how to do a GIMP thread. But here it is now on the other one, a lot better. And then you would use your seam ripper to open this up. Now I would like to sew the button on by machine. That's right, I want to sew it on by machine. So I'm going to put that my buttonhole lever up, and we'll push straight down, and then I'm going to take this. Oh, my button fell out. Why did my button fall out? I must not have had it secured all the way. It's okay, it held it. It is, yep, it is the right size. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our screen here and refocus. Okay, so up on my top of my lid where I have all my stitches, it says my sew on buttons number 39. So I go back into my buttonhole, my pattern stitches, and I'm going to tell it that I want number 39. Now it's telling me, because there's a line that wants me to lower the feed dogs. So behind the machine is how I would do that. So if I turn this machine around, you don't have to turn it around to do this, but I want to show you it. Okay, so I've turned this around, I take off my free arm. Right here there's a lever, and I would push that lever that way. So I'm going to push it that way, okay? I'm going to put my free arm back on and bring it back around again, and now it has lowered my feed dog so that it won't try to sew with my button in here. Now this button has 4 holes. I'm going to do each one depending on how you want to do it. I'm going to do mine straight across. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lower my needle into the first hole, and I'm going to lower my foot. I'm going to turn my needle by hand and come over to the next one, and once I know they clear, I'm just going to tell it to sew by pressing the go key. It ties off and anchors. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come and I am going to start the next one by lining it up there. Again, I trip by hand to make sure I'm straight and they're going to line up, and I just press go. Okay, and I'm going to take it out. I'm going to use my thread cutter on the side of the machine, and there it is, and that is on there really secure. That is not coming off. You could tie these threads if you want, but I just clip them because it's already knotted them off. And I always reattach, well, when I buy shirts and stuff, especially with the kids, before they start wearing them to school, I will sit down with all their shirts with these. I don't take them off. I just match the thread to what's currently there, and I just re-anchor them down. And that shirt will wear off a lot faster before this button will ever fall off. Let me show you how to do the alphabet on here. All right, because this has a touchscreen, it's very easy to program a name or a font or anything in here. So the first thing we're going to do is I have an A here with a keypad. So when I touch that, this is what I was doing earlier, so I'm just going to delete this completely off. So it comes up, and then the alphabet or your letters are in alphabetical order in here. So if I want to spell my name, I go C, then I'm going to go lowercase, and I'm just going to go ahead and keep spelling my name. Hopefully I spell it correctly. Okay, now once I put it in, again, because it's touchscreen, it's very easy to do. And then when I'm ready, I tell it I want to sew, and there it is. So it is telling me that I should put on my 2A foot because it is a decorative stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and snap that on. Okay, so let's bring you guys back over here. And so I just snapped that foot right on. And then I'm just going to put in here, and I'm going to start to sew. I'm just going to use my start stop key, and then it's going to, oh, I forgot I did buttons last, so my feed dogs are down. So really easy to fix. I'm going to cut my thread, I'm going to pull this back, I'm going to pull that lever back that way. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and re-select this. So let me go ahead and reselect this. Okay. And then I would start to sew. All right. So now it's sewing, and then once it starts sewing, I'm going to touch my scissors. So what that's going to do for me is it's going to continue sewing here, and once it gets to the end of my name, before it starts the repeat, it will actually tie off, anchoring my stitch, and cut my thread for me. So we're just 2 letters away here. It looks like I just had enough room to do this. So it's going to anchor it, and it's going to cut, and then there we go. I have my name sewn out. So you can make quilt labels if you have kids that are in daycare or school, or grandkids that you want to put their name inside all their things. This is a really nice way to do it because ink sometimes wears out and doesn't always can be actually wrote over. This they can't change. All right, let me reset again and we'll show you another feature. All right, so another thing I want to show you is in settings. So if I open up settings, in here is where I could change my tensions if I needed to, and it would only change it for that one stitch. So every time you select a stitch, it would go back to default. I also could tell if I'm going to use a twin needle and what size twin needle I'm going to use, so it protects my needles. With the 1/4 inch foot, you want to make sure you only ever sew straight stitch and never try to do a zigzag, because you will end up striking the foot with it. So this is a straight stitch with a single hole. So you have what's called a stitch width safety on here, that if I turn that on, the machine is assuming that I have a single stitch foot on and will not allow me to do a stitch that will hurt my foot. So that's where you would do it. And when you turn it off, the machine, what I love about the twin needle and the stitch safety features is those two are saved in the machine. So if I turn it off and come back tomorrow to sew, these won't turn off. I physically have to go into settings to do it. So it will still protect your twin needle and your 1/4 inch foot if you've turned it off and forgot to turn these off. Then if I come down, I could change the language. And then I do have audio sounds on here. I don't know if you've been hearing that, because we are in the store and it's hard to hear things in the store sometimes. But as I click on things, I do get, you probably hear that. So it's telling me that I can't do anything. So that is the audio alarm. I like the audio alarm because it's not that loud, but if I'm trying to tell the machine to do something, it's not doing it. And if I don't have that audio alarm on to tell me I can't do it, then I'm thinking my machine's not working properly. So with that audio alarm telling me by a beep saying, I can't do what you're asking, then I'll know, oh, okay, well, you were not programmed to do that feature, or maybe it's not allowed to do that feature because it would hurt the machine or make this stitch not as good quality. So those are different things there. You can also, right now I do have my name up in here, so if I went to my A right here, I could put at the end of my name by touching my decorative stitch here. I can go and select that heart I showed you earlier, which was 177. I could go and select that heart and change my width, my length, my density, whatever to put that heart in. And now when I press the sewing machine, it will give me my name, and at the name it will put the heart in there as well. So you can combine your letters and your fonts. I'm sorry, letters and fonts are the same thing. Your letters and your decorative stitches together, or you could just combine decorative stitches to make your own. You could also save your own stitches. So if I wanted to, I could tell it that I want to save this. I have something in memory already, so I would say yes to overwrite it, and then this file will now be saved in my machine. So there's quite a bit this machine can do. I love the touch screen because of the fact it's just so easy to touch what you want. You don't have to know what key to press. As a quilter myself and garment sewer, I do love that this one does come with a 1/4 inch foot, and it does also come with the free motion foot. There is a secondary free motion foot available for this one, so if you don't like the style of the free motion foot that came with this one, there is a open toe version. It does have the scissor cut. Again, I love the sleekness of the color of the dark with the white, and then nice storage, a needle threader, very strong machine, and it does have a 200 millimeter throat here, so just shy of 8 inches, just under 8 inches, so you can get a smaller quilt in here. If you are interested in the machine, feel free to reach out to us at by calling PFAFF Creative Sewing Center in Lacey, Washington, or Sound Sewing in Silverdale, Washington, or feel free to visit our website at soundsewing.com. If you are a quilter and you are concerned about this space, go ahead and look at some of our other machines. We do have machines with quite a bit bigger throats in there. So any questions, reach out to us or come on in.